Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting version of Chip Talks podcast. I always open that way because in my mind, these are just kind of scientific and dry. So hopefully you find them exciting. Hopefully we do enough to kind of pique your interest and keep your interest up. But to me, this is pretty dry science, but it's important science, and it's very important science for your function. So everything that I'm trying to teach you guys and tell you guys about how you work is super duper important, at least to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be trying to teach it to you. So I think it's critical. I think it's critical to our future. I think it's critical to our kids. Right now, 33% of our kids are obese. They're going to die at an early age. They're going to die much younger and much sicker than we do. That's not real good for the, let's say, survivability of mankind. We're not on a good path. We're doing this. So if we need to survive as a species and want to, we need to change things because we are malnourishing ourselves right into non-existence. So today we're going to talk about the immune system. So the immune system is what is the most important thing that your body does every single day? And it's, the answer to that is defend itself, right? So, if you're not able to defend your body, you're going to be like that roadkill on the side of the road. So bacteria and all manner of pathogens are going to invade you and decompose you and break you down to goo. So that's the importance of our immune system. And without an immune system, we would be broken down to goo every day. The immune system, I kind of like to think about, and I'm a Trekkie, so I love Star Trek, always have. Used to come home from school and watch, Captain Kirk and all that, on afternoon TV. So I grew up with Star Trek, but it creates a good analogy for your immune system because your immune system is very much like shields. So we all understand the concept of shields, and shields can go up and shields can come down, and shields can have a certain strength. And, that's important, right? So the stronger your shields are, the harder it is for, the bugs that want to decompose you to get inside of you. So immune system is super important. Right now, what are we taught about our immune system? Yeah, nothing, right? Zero. How much in, first grade did you learn about your immune system? Maybe, don't lick that dirt or don't eat that poo, but that's about it, right? Second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, high school. What'd you learn about the immune system? So we learn we have one, but we don't learn how it works or how to run it. So get this. Every time you eat that corn dog or that ice cream, you're weakening your immune system. Why? Because you're eating omega-6 in excess of omega-3. There's just so many things that we do from, let's say, our behavior to ourselves. Let's just walk you through this. And then at the end of this, I'm gonna talk to you about, I'm just gonna give you the specific things that you can do to bolster your immune system. But you gotta bear with me through the dry science first because it's important, and it's this is just logic what I'm gonna tell you guys. So again, to your body, the most important thing, or the most, let's say, costly thing that you do every day is eat. All right. When you eat a meal, you become very vulnerable in your immune system because your shields go down. Okay. So is there variability around that? Yeah. I mean, you can digest three different types of things. So carbohydrates, fats, and protein. By far and away, the hardest thing to digest is protein. So if you eat a lot of protein, your body's doing a lot of, and we all have to have protein. There's 9 essential amino acids that you have to have every single day. Okay. But if you eat a lot of protein, let's say you eat, in excess of what you need every day of those 9 amino acids, then that's more work for your body than breaking down a fat. So fat is the second hardest to break down. And fats are kind of involved. I mean, they involve your lymphatic system in order to break them down. And it's, complicated, but not as complicated as protein. And then the easiest thing to break down is carbohydrates. So as far as work on your body and time on task, when we eat, our shields go down. Okay. How long they stay down depends on the composition of that meal and the work that has to be done. So if you're eating a, let's say, high protein diet, like a keto diet, high protein, high fat, That's going to take longer than, avocados and a bunch of salad. Okay. So, although avocados have some fats in it, so that would take a little longer, but carbohydrates are the easiest thing. So the first thing is just to understand the consequence of eating, all right, in our immune system, because every time you eat, bloop, you drop your shields. And you drop your shields generally for 5 hours. It depends on the composition of the meal. Okay. So this is why people talk about intermittent fasting, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I want to really drive home this point. So what happens when we eat is, this involves, it's the most basic thing inside of us all are called mitochondria. There's little critters, let's say, inside of mitochondria that are even more basic, but mitochondria are about the most basic thing inside of you. And there are things in mitochondria are organelle. It's called the organelle that's inside of a cell. And mitochondria are what produce energy. Okay. So I'm alive and able to talk to you right now and use my mind and cognitive ability because my little mitochondria are producing energy like crazy. And they have a frequency rate at which they produce energy. Okay. And that frequency rate, when you're really rocking and rolling, almost approaches the frequency of the sun, which is really freaking cool. No one thought that it was that high. Let's say the frequency was that high. It's shocking to me that it even is. But anyway, these little guys produce ATP, right, at a frequency. So when you eat a meal, whoop, everything in you has to flip over and begin to run in glucose mode as far as mitochondria. Why? Because fats are important to you. Fats are king. You store fats. You run on fats. Your body wants to optimize around fats. Fats are used to build all of the precursors that you need to run yourself. So fats are king to our body. It's like the magical gold to our body. So when we eat, again, everything in us is going to flip over to glucose, and glucose is obviously important too because we have to run on it. So carbohydrates are what provide glucose and vitamins and some fiber. But anyway, when we flip over to glucose mode, then we go into a low energy mode. What does that mean? Our ATP is not making, or sorry, our mitochondria are not making ATP at the highest frequency that they could. And because of this, we have lower energy. So our energy is lower. Our shields come down, and our shields will stay down for about 5 hours after we eat. Why is this important? When your shields are up, you can kill cancer. When your shields are down, you can't. When your shields are up, you break down cholesterol. So if you have a cholesterol problem, you just need your shields up. You're going to break that stuff down like crazy. Your high cholesterol is going to go back down to normal really, really fast. If your shields are down, you make cholesterol. Okay. So again, you don't want your shields down if you've got a cholesterol problem. Our heart works better, let's say, when our shields are up. Everything about us works better when our shields are up. We have 20 times more energy when our shields are up. Our immune system obviously is much more robust when our shields are up. Okay, so you guys kind of getting the idea. So our immune system is tightly tied to our eating behavior. As weird as that sounds. And when we eat, we drop our shields, all right? And 5 hours after we eat, our shields come back up. So imagine this. If you're a breakfast, lunch, and dinner person, and breakfast could be, I put creamer in my coffee. This is anything over 50 calories. Certainly fat and protein is going to kick this off, a lot because they're harder to deal with, a lot easier than carbohydrates. But the kind of the rule of thumb, let's say, is 50 calories, all right? So if you put creamer in your coffee, blah, you go over here in what we call a fed state where you're low energy. You don't have much of an immune system. You don't have any way to kill cancer, and you're making cholesterol. And there's other things that I could just go on and on and on. Okay. You don't want to stay here very long, but if you eat breakfast, boom, you go over into this state. So and then you start the 5 hour timer. And right about the time you're getting ready to pop into this high efficiency state, lunch. The other interesting thing about lunch is your body wants to work on organs at certain times. Guess what your body wants to work on between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m.? Your heart. Guess what it won't work on if you eat? Your heart. Okay. So again, but we eat breakfast, blam, we go down here. About the time we're getting ready to pop back up, we eat lunch. About the time we're getting ready to pop back up, we eat dinner. About the time we're getting ready to pop back up, we eat that snack before bed. And so literally for most of us, from about 2 a.m. to about 8 a.m. is the only time that we're in this highly efficient state. Now, there's so many examples from nature that promotes an obese phenotype. Just right there, it's going to promote a sick phenotype. It's going to promote a diseased phenotype. Okay, so what I'm saying is pretty dang important, and I'm giving you some giant tips at how to run your immune system. Let me give you an analogy, okay? Because this is kind of a fun analogy, right? So we've all are aware of, we live on a wooded street and we see squirrels all the time, which is really cool. But sadly, squirrels run out in front of cars and one gets run over. Oh no, it's sad. It hurts my heart. It literally almost makes me cry when I see this happen. But anyway, there's that dead squirrel. And so, we drive by it today and it's just dead. And we drive by it tomorrow and maybe it's bloated a little, and we drive by it in a week and it's kind of, now it's just degraded some, and 3 weeks it's just fur, right? Well, what happened to that thing? Sans predators and things that would eat it, bacteria eat it, right? And this is the way that the world works. And I think we need to redefine life. Again, life has to do with flow of electrons, right? And there's some, there's things that can happen to us. Let's say where our flow of electrons, our energy level, or kind of however you want to look at this, gets low enough. So we reach this low enough threshold to where, whoop, all this bacteria wants to invade us. Okay, because it thinks we're dead, it thinks we're dying, and it wants to break us down like that squirrel. Well, that's exactly what happens to that squirrel. So that squirrel has reached this electron threshold or energy threshold that's low enough because it's dead, that now all this bacteria can come in and begin to break it down and put it back, basically tear it down to the things of the earth, right? And that's kind of the way that the earth works. Well, again, it works the same way in you. So if you aren't moving energy fast enough, and this is not just you as a complete system, this is within organs, okay? So if you're not moving energy fast enough, let's say in your gut, bacteria think your gut is dead, and they'll start decomposing your gut. You're seeing the importance of this, I hope, right? So, but there is a certain level, and again, how much of this breakfast, lunch, and dinner behavior before our energy status comes down so much that we look like we're dead to these bacteria, or barely alive enough, in a state where we're easy to decay. And that to me looks like exactly what's going on. So that is your immune system, boys and girls. And again, every time we eat, we drop our shields for 5 hours. Look at our social behavior. It's almost like someone wants to kill us or corrupt us. And I think it's corrupt the God in us. I think that's what's really going on. But look at our social behavior, right? So what do we do when we gather? We eat. Is that smart? I mean, let's gather and drop our shields so we all share our bugs. It's not smart. It would be better to gather in a fasted state because we're not going to share each other's diseases, right? So again, there's a lot to this, right? And there's a lot about our behavior now that just plays right into this kind of sickness and weakness and low energy and all that. So what you need to do if you want to strengthen your immune system, at least as far as fasting and fed, is look at intermittent fasting. Now, as soon as I say intermittent fasting, everybody's like, oh, God, no, I can't give up the food that I eat. No. I'm not talking about denying yourself anything. I'm not talking about eating less. I'm going to talk about what to eat in just a second. So that's part 2 of this whole narrative. But part 1 is, when to eat. Okay. It's not how much. So again, this whole fasting and fed stuff is when. It's got nothing to do with how much. Have I said anything about calories? No, it's when. Okay. So here's what we suggest, and then I'll drive this home with an analogy. So what we suggest is that skip your breakfast, right? So that's easy for most of us to do. Most of us don't eat breakfast anyway, but a lot of us like those, creamy lattes and, sugary coffees and all that stuff that we'll whip by Starbucks in the morning and grab. So stop doing that, right? So stop doing that. Drink coffee, that's fine. If you want it sweet, put some xylitol in it. That's really good for your teeth, or put some stevia in it. That's really good if you have type 2 diabetes or diabetes. It stimulates insulin from B cells in the pancreas. So use a sweetener other than sugar if you're going to do that. But again, 50 calories is the rule. So skip breakfast, eat lunch at noon, start eating. Eat as much as you want. Pig out between noon and 8. Eat 3 meals if you want. Eat the whole time. Doesn't really matter. Stop eating by 8. And if you can stop eating by 6, even better, or stop eating by 4, even better. So, and that, if you stop eating by 8, the noon to 8, that's called an 8-hour fasting window. So if you see these 16:8 fast, that's what it's talking about, is basically intermittent fasting in an 8-hour window. So that means I'm going to just eat between noon and 8. What my wife and I do is we eat in a 4-hour window. So I'm Chickasaw, I'm native. I'm going back to our roots, and our roots say that we used to eat one community meal a day, right? So we just eat one big meal a day. And again, you eat as much as you want, get your 2,000 calories in, but just one giant, big, whopping meal. But it was a community meal. And again, I guess we got together and shared our disease, but it was a community meal where that was a place where you learned if someone was having problems, or, someone needed help, or all that. So it was really kind of a cool, social thing in our tribe, at least, which we've now lost. And now we're all diabetic and die of things like that, metabolic syndrome, which is sad. And again, why? I look at you, Indian Health Services, 1000% you, Indian Health Services. But anyway, we digress. So back to the subject at hand. So again, noon to 8, if you can eat it in noon to 8 window, or even again, what Cindy and I do is we eat in a 4 to 8 window. So we'll start eating about 4 o'clock and then we'll quit by 8. On weekends, we kind of modify that. So we might start eating about 1 o'clock. Because for some reason I get hungry when I get bored. And, it's just harder on weekends unless we got something going on. So we'll eat at 1 and maybe quit by 5 or 6. So, but eating in that window is highly advantageous to your body, right? So it creates a very strong immune situation where you've got your shields up most of the time. Now let's talk about strength, okay? Shield strength. So it's almost like right now, because of our diet, we have hyperactive shields. I know this is a little hard to fathom, but that's really what's going on. So your immune system kind of has 2 different aspects. So the first aspect is, kind of inflame, attack what's going on, try to kill what's going on, and get after it, right? So that's what our immune system wants to do on kind of one side. On the other side, we want to deflame, we want to calm things down, and we want to heal things, okay? So those are both important in balance, right? So we need to be able to, we have an allergic reaction, we have an inflammatory response, we mitigate that in some way or heal that situation. It's better with a trauma. Let's say we get hit by a rock, we have an inflammatory response, we wall that area off, we heal that area, and then we deflame that area. So that's real easy to do, if we're balanced, right? If we're balanced. But we're not balanced right now. We're not balanced at all. So this balance comes from literally the 2 most important foods that you eat every day. What are the 2 most important foods that you eat every day? Yep. Most of us don't know. And again, it's omega-3 and omega-6 fats. Why are they the most important foods that we eat every day? They literally are almost responsible for every single precursor in your body. So all the, central nervous system stuff and your hormones and steroids, and all come from omega-3, omega-6 fats for the most part. Plus, your body converts all kinds of stuff to all manner of stuff. But your master precursors are omega-3, omega-6. They're also the master precursors for your endocannabinoid system. So the endocannabinoid system is the mammalian master regulatory system, and omega-3 and omega-6 fats feed that system. So in balance, it creates a situation in your immune system like I'm talking about, where we can easily inflame, we can wall off, we can heal an area, deflame, good to go, see you later, bye. But right now, because of our diet And because of our overconsumption and malnourishment, so we overconsume omega-6s and we're malnourished on omega-3s. These are the two most important foods that we eat every day. So basically, you can think of these guys as kind of like a teeter-totter, okay? So we want to be balanced, right? If we're balanced, it's great. But if we go omega-6 heavy, which is what we're doing right now, we create a hyperactive immune response. So it's like your shields are so strong and hyperactive that you may be attacked by the Klingons over here, but you're going to react to a bird that hit your shields over here instead and leave yourself wide open for the Klingons. And that's exactly what's happening now because our immune system is so hyperactive. It just reacts to everything and it leaves us incredibly vulnerable to other things. And, you know, if you want evidence of this, in what world? So we have the COVID epidemic, right? And what seemed to work for some people, what allowed, let's say, their immune system to beat COVID was immunosuppressants. What? You're going to suppress my immune system so it could beat a cold virus? What? In what logical world does that make sense? In this hyperactive world? Because again, if you're so hyperactive that you're concentrating on your dust mite allergy instead of the COVID infection, it's a bad situation. So you got to calm that down. So you will focus on the COVID infection and, you know, also the dust mite. But there is no kind of priority, you know, in your immune system. So it's reactive, right? And it's the degree of its reactivity has to do with the ratio of omega-6 over omega-3 that we eat. Omega-3s are responsible for deflaming us, right? So the deflammatory response. They're also responsible for the healing response. So right now, because of our diet, because we eat so many omega-6s over omega-3s, name me a source of omega-3s. Ready, go. Yeah, fish, but that's lesser form. So because walnuts, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, but those sources also contain omega-6. So if you're trying to balance this out, you need to be cognizant of all omega-3 and omega-6 you eat every day. Omega-6 is in corn, and corn is in everything in our society. Corn. And corn has almost all omega-6 and no omega-3. So you don't get any balance in corn. In something like hemp, you've got both omega-3 and omega-6. In something like flax, you've got both omega-3 and omega-6. So they're good balances. But in corn, and which is so prevalent in our society, it's all omega-6. And what do we feed our beef now and our chickens and our pigs? We feed them corn, right? So their meat, you know, meat is imbued with what the nutrients are that organism is eating, right? And so if an organism is wild and that organism is eating a lot of grass, and like a cow would normally eat a lot of grass, then their meat is going to be imbued with a nice ratio of omega-3, omega-6 fats. But if I take that cow to a feedlot, and again, I'm, you know, business, try to fatten it up, make it worth more money, and I feed it a bunch of corn, well, that cow, that meat will be imbued with the properties of those nutrients. So again, that meat will be imbued with a bunch of omega-6 fat. So right now we're so omega-6 heavy. And what that does is it creates a very strong immune response, which is kind of good, but it's hyperactive, it's hyperinflammatory. And it's hyperinflammatory is the biggest thing, right? So, you know, if I insult you, let's say I infect you in some way, your immune system is going to be hyperactively after that thing. And basically that, let's say, situation is what leads to a lot stronger disease states. So an infection in and of itself isn't that bad. Your body should deal with it. But a chronic infection, like a 30-year hookworm and pinworm infection, can lead to chronic kidney failure, can lead to heart failure, can lead to, you know, all manner of things. Your body will basically crash over time. So we don't want to be in the situation that we're in right now as far as omega-3, omega-6 fats. If we balance these fats, again, that is the optimal situation for us. Okay, so and again, how do you do that? Well, we in TrueMedX, we have built a supplement So we have a supplement, an omega-3 supplement. This supplement's based on camelina oil, and it's based on chia seed oil. So these are both really strong sources of omega-3. They have a little bit of omega-6 in them, but not much. And they also have some other fats in them, as kind of nature presents stuff in a way that's useful and good usually for us. So we use natural products in what we make. Now, here's a thing that's come up with somebody recently, because they asked this question. They said, well, isn't there an enzyme, that's there? And what about, this seed source of omega-3 versus a fish source of omega-3? So let's explain that real quick. So omega-3 fats kind of come in 3 flavors. So there's a master precursor, and it's called alpha linolenic acid, or ALA. We'll refer to it as ALA. And then there are breakdowns of ALA that happen inside of you or happen inside of other, animals. And those are DHA and EPA. I won't pronounce those right now. You could look those up. But, it's EPA and DHA are the breakdowns, the direct breakdowns of ALA. Okay. So EPA and DHA are what are in fish. Okay. So EPA and DHA are in fish, but they're ALA is where I would prefer that you get your omega-3. So ALA is found in seeds and nuts. But when you're eating ALA, you're competing for an enzyme. So ALA and omega-6 fats, which are called linoleic acid, or LA, isn't that confusing? So ALA and LA compete for the same enzyme. And so if you're eating these things in equal ratio, again, all is good, all is well. I just wrote a blog about this, so go check out my blog. If you're eating more omega-6 than omega-3, like we are right now, well, again, there's competition for that enzyme. So you're not going to break down ALA into DHA and EPA as readily and easily as you would if you were eating them in equal parts. If you're omega-3 heavy, so if you're eating a bunch of ALA, again, you're going to favor ALA, but it's a little bit easier for your body to, let's say it's not as detrimental for your body to favor ALA over LA. But right now, what we're doing to ourselves is absolutely the worst. If I sort of made a list of the worst behaviors and things to eat, to put you in the most weakened state, make you most susceptible and likely to be decayed by the earth, it would look very similar to the way that we behave and what we eat right now, which is super sad. And it, to me, this looks purposeful, right? So, somebody's driving this ship, driving us off this cliff, right? And it's good that we're waking up to it. And it's good that you guys are listening to this video. So hopefully this, has an impact on you and you change some behavior. I'll leave you with this on the whole immune system. So, well, no, I won't. So I've told that story a lot. I use the analogy of a bear in intermittent fasting a lot because bears just, use that to control their weight when they're also controlling their immune system. Okay, so big points out of this whole video are these. Number 1, intermittent fast. When you eat, you go into a degraded and weakened state for 5 hours. So you don't want to be there. You want to be there as little as possible. We all have to nutrient ourselves. But again, doing it once a day is way better than doing it twice a day, is way better than doing it 3 times a day. If you're going to do it 2 or 3 times a day, do it in a window. Do it in a very specific window that's 8 hours or less. This will do more for your health. This will cure type 2 diabetes. This will do more, completely give you control back over your weight, provided you don't have a certain biome thing that can be addressed in another way. This is an awesome thing that you can do for your health. It's a very easy thing to do. It's not that hard to do. And it just puts you in so much of a better state. And then the second thing is balance omega-3, omega-6 fats. This is harder to do because if you eat, let's say normal, you're going to have to supplement with some omega-3 fats. Just there's no omega-3 fats in our diet. Walnuts, flax, chia, hemp are sources of acorns, are a strong source of omega-3, which is interesting. We used to eat a lot of acorn flour, and acorns used to be a bigger part of our diet, but they're gone now. So we got to find some other sources of omega-3. We use chia seeds. So Cindy and I use chia seeds a lot in our diet. And then we also take our omega-3 supplement. So in TrueMedX, and it's www.truemedix.com, you will find that we have an omega-3 supplement. We've also got a lot of immune support products. So, we've just talked about behavior, right? So simple behavior. But let's say that you're immune compromised. Let's say that you've got a autoimmune disease, or you've got cancer, or you've got, some other type disease where, your immune system is compromised. Well, certainly intermittent fasting, number one, that's really going to help you. Basically, if you have cancer and you're not intermittent fasting, you're not allowing your body to help you fight the cancer. It just, intermittent fasting is a huge thing for cancer patients, because you want to work with your body, and you want your body helping you to fight the cancer. You want your body helping with the chemotherapy. And if you're a breakfast, lunch, and dinner person, that ain't happening. You're hurting yourself, right, with your behavior. If you're immune compromised, again, I read studies every day. That's what I do. I'm a researcher. So I read studies, and there's study after study after study that says that intermittent fasting and actual fasting will cure type 2 diabetes. cure type 2 diabetes. So, tons of stuff here, just behaviorally. Again, if you balance omega-3, omega-6 fats, we don't know what that looks like yet. There's tons of scientific evidence that says that that's going to be super good. That's going to increase lifespan. I'll tell you something interesting I was looking at yesterday. There's a lot of stuff, let's say, about child trafficking in the news. And there's also all this information about, girls used to hit puberty at 19 or 20, and now they hit puberty at 8. Would that be on purpose? Would somebody, let's say the people who had knobs and levers of our society, do that on purpose? If you look at what would cause you to hit puberty at an earlier age, and certainly there's environmental and dietary things that I can do to you to cause you to hit puberty at an earlier age, those are the exact same things that we're seeing in our society. So again, someone, like I said, I don't want to be conspiratorial, but it sure looks like someone is minimally out to corrupt the God in you, and maximally out to limit you, hurt you, make you sick, make you better, all that stuff. So let's move past that, shall we? Are we at a place where we can move past that and start telling the truth? I hope so, because I'm trying to tell you guys the truth about how you work in your immune system. But anyway, because we have not understood this, and we've sort of, let's say, listened to the institutions and powers that be, all of us have damage, right? So again, if you have a hookworm and pinworm infection, those hookworm and pinworm have beat you, and they will continue to beat you until you do something. Okay. So some of these things we have to intervene with. And we have products at TrueMedX. So our deworm products are really good for hookworm and pinworm. If you have something like a bacteria, like a H. pylori, that's a little different strategy, right? So he works different. He's can cause way more damage than hookworm and pinworm, can cause stomach cancer, all kinds of stuff. So he's a little bit different case. And we have a special product for him called Blast, where we go at pylori. But it matters kind of what you've been infected with, and the, let's say, treatment or supplement regimen would matter as to how you get better. So always intermittent fasting. Go back to Starship Enterprise. So the first thing I got to do is teach you about your shields and how to work them, right? Where the switch is, don't eat, where the switch is for your shields. And then I've got to tell you about the shield strength. Well, how do we go from 30% to 100%? Well, omega-3, omega-6 balance. But now our Starship has flown into a lot of Klingons with our shields down because we didn't have this information. We've taken some damage. So we got to give Scotty some engineering tools, and those engineering tools are supplements. So we've got to begin to eradicate the infections and damage, let's say, that we've allowed to be done with ourselves. And so we try to help with all of that at TrueMedX. And we've got, supplements to help with all manner of repair, or dysregulation. And we use the endocannabinoid system because the endocannabinoid system is our master regulatory system. Why wouldn't we use it? It seems easy and obvious, and it's manipulated by nature. So we do that because that appears to be godly and proper. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this one. So immune system is configurable. You have so much in your power, but you've got to empower yourself. You got to empower yourself with this knowledge, and you've got to empower yourself with the proper behavior. Anyway, we'll see you guys back next week for another exciting version of Chip Talks Podcast. Bye.